Yeah.
So, dear viewers, Shekhar is an international entertainer. He's a speaker. He's co-authored a book called Dare to Dream, and he's a TV panelist, a columnist, and he's a comedian. He's an actor. You name it, and he's done it. So he's a jack of all trades, basically. So you'll often catch him on TV channels like Republic TV and India Today, and you'll catch him offering valuable opinions and advice on important topics or matters that are plaguing our country today. So welcome, Shekhar. Thanks for joining in.
Nice to hear you, and nice to hear such warm words from you, Diana. So nice. Thank you so much.
Acha, Shekhar, you have worked for top companies like Accenture, Converges, HP, and I've always seen you as a manager. So it was a pleasant surprise to see your the creative side of your personality. So that came as a wonderful surprise. So did you experience an epiphany to make the sudden transition from the corporate world to the entertainment world?
So, when you use the word epiphany, I think it's a very interesting word. I've never heard anyone use this word at all in an interview per se. And I've been interviewed like you said, Republic TV, India Today, and all those places. But I think the word epiphany is what we all want to be, right? What do you want your tombstone to read? That this was a man who was there and he did his job, and that's about it. But somewhere I think, I cannot put a finger to how this change happened. But I also believe, somewhere down the line, I believe that I had this constant urge to entertain, motivate, and inspire. And somewhere in the line of work, like you said, and both of us work for great companies like Converges, HP, and Accenture, and it goes without saying. And we were doing sales, for example, and sales is not an easy job to do, like we all know.
True.
Right? Because you got to be at your best every day. So every day could be a Monday, or every day could be a Friday. How do you get your troops out? How do you make sure that you're pumped up and ready for the battle? And I really enjoyed that experience. For me, if you'd ask me where was my best memory of working, I would always say, without batting an eyelid, it would be Converges, because I think I had the best team. I think we were number one. And when you're number one, you always want to be number one. It's like I always believe in the saying, you don't win the silver, you lose the gold. And I keep telling that, so people don't understand what is the meaning of it. I'm actually wearing this shirt. You don't win the silver, you lose the gold. And I also have a company which I formed, which is called Shavin's Entertainment. And I formed this in the last couple of years. But I think in terms of how this change happened, it happened because I had this urge always to entertain. I had this urge always to inspire. I had this urge always to leave a legacy behind.
Okay.
That, 40 years down the line, 60 years down the line, you should not say that, oh my God, I could have done this. I should have done this. I would have done this. I want to make that plunge, make a mistake, and come back and make that mistake again, but survive and conquer it. That's the mindset I have. Right now, if you talk to me, I'm not scared of anything. As in terms of speaking or in terms of expressing what I feel, because when the mind is without fear, there really is nothing to dread. I believe, that's just how simple it is. And when you don't complicate it, like when you're honest to your thoughts, I think one particular day I looked at myself in the mirror and said, this is not what I want to do with my life. I don't want to just work for a company, get X amount of salary. And I was getting paid well, and I was traveling around the world in my job and working with some very interesting people. But is this what I like doing? No. Is this what I love doing? Certainly not. Then why am I doing it, right? So, and I know a lot of people who want to do it, who have made that change, but are not succeeding in it, because once you make that change from doing a corporate job to doing what I'm doing, it requires tremendous amount of willpower, because there are good days and there are bad days. It's not every day is not going to be a Sunday, or every day is not going to be a Friday. There are days when you're just sitting and you're watching at your screen, you're waiting for things to happen. How do you get over that? And that's when your love for what you do is very important, because you're doing it for a particular reason. You're doing it for yourself. So you got to be selfish here. Selfishness is very important. When I'm saying selfish, a lot of people saying being selfish is being negative. It is not negative at all. In today's day and age, being selfish is being stubborn. And being stubborn is very important. We have been conditioned in school and college, since, even by a parent saying that if you are stubborn, it's a wrong attribute. It's not a wrong attribute at all. If you're stubborn about what you believe is right, even if the whole world is wrong, you could be right. That's my mindset. So if I'm clear about it, I just go for it and I don't look back at all. I don't hesitate. As in, we all make mistakes along the way, but the point is, if you make your mistakes, you make sure you don't repeat them, but you learn from your mistakes, because I think failures are the stepping stone for success. That's what I believe. And I think a leader is a true leader only if he or she fails. If you haven't failed, I don't think you have succeeded. In my dictionary, I think that's very, very clear and very important.
Okay. Okay, great. That's inspiring, Shekhar. And what do you like most about entertaining people?
I just love the impact I can create. So I've entertained people from of all age groups, from somebody as young as 2 years old to somebody as old as 80 years old or 100 years old, and the kind of impact I can create, which I can see on their faces, is such a happy feeling. Now, for example, you spoke about the fact that I appear on TV or I talk on issues which are plaguing the country. If I can make an impact there with my opinion, with my voice, I go to sleep well that night. There's a sense of high, and strangely for me, I don't know. It's a weird feeling. Uh, for example, when you have live shows, when you're out on stage, I just love that energy of getting on stage. Almost feel like a Michael Jackson. I always felt what was so special about Michael Jackson, because he was an entertainer. According to me, he could sing, he could write, he had great lyrics, and he had a questionable character, no doubt, because people raised questions on what he was all about. But about his personality on stage, I think it was amazing.
Yeah.
And now, if you look back, if you think now, he had written this song called "We Are the World, We Are the Children." He got all artists to collaborate together. That kind of mindset at that age and that time is so visionary. I think somewhere, I think that for me really struck a chord. I wanted to be a Michael Jackson, though I don't have the singing talent of a Michael Jackson or the break dancing skills of Michael Jackson. I know I can talk my way through anything. That's for sure. And I know I can entertain and engage and inspire, because I have that confidence. I have that ability, and
Yeah.
it comes from within. So somewhere I really, really enjoy this. I really live for this. The day I have a show, I don't sleep that day at all. I don't need a Red Bull to be awake. I'm just on that, and it's a great feeling. So my
Wow.
family thinks this guy is really weird. He's mad, because I have a smile plastered on my face the day of the event, after the show also. And I sleep quite late. I sleep only 4 to 5 hours every day. So if I have a show, I will sleep if the show gets over in the evening and I have an evening show, say for 2 hours. I will sleep around 2:33 in the morning, early morning, and because there's a sense of high. And I don't know if the sense of high is there for everybody, but for me, it's very it's very neurological, but it's very exciting, because I just love to be in that space where I'm out there engaging with people, getting to know what they are all about, and leaving an impact in more ways than one, a positive impact, not a negative impact, because I believe we are all meant to be, we are all supposed to be on this planet Earth for a specific reason. It's about
True.
what you do with your life and the impact you can create. And I think
You
we are
should
just
have a
fortunate.
purpose. You should have a
Absolutely. We all
purpose.
have a purpose. And I think my purpose here is just to entertain, engage, and motivate and inspire. And I can read, I can write. I also write. I also read, of course. I can also speak well. So when you can do best of both, why not take full advantage of it?
True. What was your biggest challenge while making the transition from the corporate world into the entertainment world? What challenges did you face? And
So, it all boils down to the fact that you're leaving the comfort or the shelter of a corporate job. And I'm saying a corporate job, it's a regular 9 to 5 job. You get X amount of salary every month. You go to work, you come back from work, you go in a car, or you go in the office vehicle, whatever the case may be. That's how it is. So it's almost like it's a very sedentary lifestyle, I would say. Now, when you leave all the comfort of that and you do something like which I am doing, where you're starting from scratch. As in, I don't have family which is involved in this. I don't have any. I don't have any skills to show when I was in school and college, that this guy was in dramatics or he was a singer or anything like that. I just started from scratch. So I
okay,
think the entire thing of starting from scratch and starting from zilch to making it to where I'm now, I think it all boiled down to persistence, being stubborn, and also the fact that when you have no backup, you tend to actually be a little more stronger.
True.
When you don't have the
True.
comfort of an umbrella, right? You tend to give it your best, and
Yes.
because you have, and it's also ego. Like, you took a decision, right, to leave your well-paying job and the comfort of your job to do this, and at the cost of fighting with your family, fighting with your wife, and fighting with your friends who feel this guy's a complete joker. Why would you leave a job where you're getting paid X amount of money for what? For doing what? For going out and entertaining on stage, for cracking jokes, for doing something which everybody else can do. Why would you do that? But then I believe that there is something in it for me, and I just went with it. And I think it's very important to understand that challenges may arise in anything which you like and love. But that's where you have to look deep within and realize why you want to do it. It has to be a
Correct.
strong feeling. It's almost like if you fall in love with somebody, there has to be a reason why you like that person. It cannot just be something very flashy. There has to be something very personal to it. And I think that's where it. And I think liking a person is almost like I like what I do, because I just live for this, like I said, and
Great.
I totally enjoy this moment.
Great. Shekhar, in your line of work, you have met a lot of personalities, celebrities, both national and international.
Yeah.
So, uh, can you name one person who has impacted you the most or who has inspired you the most, and
See, I'll
why?
tell you, yeah. So, Diana, I've met everybody from the likes of Narendra Modi to Jeffrey Archer.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Modi, Jeffrey Archer, Arnab Goswami, Nawazuddin Siddiqui, Shah Rukh Khan, Mandira Bedi, uh, all the authors you can think of, Chetan Bhagat, actors you can think of, Radhika Apte, you name it, I have done shows with them. Uh, for me, more than the people who inspire, it are the moments which inspire me. I am strangely inspired by people who have come from next to nothing to make it on their own. So for me, for example, Shah Rukh Khan is somebody who I look up to, not for his
Okay.
choice of films, but for the journey he took from being from the TV industry to make it to the film industry. Okay, somebody like, for example, a Nawazuddin Siddiqui, who's a very popular film actor now, but he's come from nowhere. Somehow I'm strangely inspired by this David versus Goliath story. I like that entire
Okay.
concept of David versus Goliath, where you're a complete underdog and you become successful on your own terms, and that's something I relate to. So anyone who's come from that from that edge, or from that moment, or from that spectrum, is somebody who inspires me. So I have met many, like, you can, for example, even Mr. Modi, the fact that he was a chaiwala to becoming the prime minister, forget about his politics around it, but that journey, that arc is what interests me. It's
Yeah.
what excites me, because I'm like, if he can do it, why can't I?
Correct.
Or somebody like a Mandira Bedi, who's so strong physically and is really on top of a job in terms of what she does. And, many of them, like I've met Nirmala Sitharaman, I met Radhika Apte also. Radhika Apte is a very popular actress who comes on,
Yes.
Netflix. Like, she's made
Yeah.
it on her own terms, I would believe. So for me, what the David versus Goliath story, I think that relates to me in real life also. I get really turned on by people who made it in that perspective, who've come from nowhere to make it on their own.
They
Because
made it on their own
that
with their own
story
grit
inspires.
and determination. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that, because I somewhere relate to it, because I've also done it in my way, if I'm talking from from the corporate sector to the entertainment industry. And also it helps that you have a point of view on everything. So with all these people I've met, I can discuss anything and everything with them. So for example, if I'm talking to you, I can discuss politics, I can discuss leadership, I can discuss office. With these people, I can discuss their movies, I can discuss about things which connects with them, because I have a very strong memory, and
Okay.
I have an opinion, which I'm able to connect with, and I'm able to connect the dots very easily. I don't know whether that's my superpower, or you may like it, but I just know how to connect the dots here and try to make the conversation very seamless. And that's a
Okay.
very important attribute as an entertainer.
Mhm.
So I
So
think
there are
that's
many
what
people that have inspired you,
many
not
people
one
in
any
many
one
moments.
particular, but the
But
list
if I
is
have to,
endless.
for me, if you have to ask me who's your inspiration, it has to be my dog Sunshine. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, and just for the fact that she's so single-minded in what she does. She lives in the moment. You give her breakfast in the morning, she looks up to you and she's like, okay, fine, when I give me breakfast, then she sleeps, then you give her lunch, you give her dinner. The point of the matter is, they are in the moment, just at that moment. And I think that kind of focus is very important for all human beings, because we tend to look towards the future, we tend to look towards the past, but we don't live in the present. And the
Correct.
key to actually, succeeding in what you're doing is living in that present moment. So right now at
Correct.
11:23 moment is the most important moment for us. But
Yes.
human beings race don't realize it. So I think she's my inspiration. If I have to, pencil down to one person,
There's a
because
lot to learn from animals as well.
oh
Animals
yeah,
also can teach us a lot,
absolutely,
and they are very affectionate, loyal, and they provide that unconditional love. And especially now during the pandemic, many people are going in for pets as
absolutely,
give them that
absolutely.
comfort and love. And okay, in your line of work, Shekhar, did you experience like any embarrassing or a sticky situation, and then how did you overcome it? How did you handle it? How you found
Oh,
your
I
way
have,
out of it?
I have faced many embarrassing situations. Many. To name a few. I think in my first job, I was working for a bank, a domestic bank, and this was in the year '99 when I left Delhi. I was born and brought up in Delhi, and I came to Bangalore and searched for work, and I worked for this bank. And the boss there, the boss, the CEO of the company per se, had a very rough tongue. Like he had the tongue of a sailor, I would say. And Indian bosses are at that point of time really cheap. When I say cheap, they don't know what comes out of the mouth and they talk anything and everything. And my job was to go and check the internet. So that time internet was dial-up internet, not like the internet we have right now. This is in 99, 2000, 2000, mid 2000, after Y2K had happened and everything, all that happened in Bangalore. Then Bangalore was just waking up to technology, I believe. And
Okay.
Bangalore became the hub what it is right now. So I had, so you had to come in. If he was coming at 9 o'clock, I would be in office by 8:30, and to check whether his internet was working fine and everything was fine. He was a very moody boss. So you to know how his mood was. Depending on what kind of coffee he had at what time, he would react. If coffee was good, his mood was good. If the market was up, he was good. So you have to look at the market for the previous day. Okay, the stock
Okay.
market is looking good, then this guy's mood is good. If the stock market is looking bad, you be ready to face the music. But I realized this is not what I want to do. I can't be hearing you hear it once, you hear it twice. Third day, I think there was a skip level meeting which happened, and I told this person who come from Bombay. I said, "This is not what I've come here to work for. I'm not come here to hear abuses from another person for work which I haven't done." That inspired a lot of employees within the company because I spoke up, and that gave me a very important lesson that if you feel something is wrong, you should speak up. You should speak up. You should not be scared. Problem is, a lot of people don't speak up because they're scared. What will happen if you're kicked out? Big deal. If you're kicked out, you'll start again. You were
True.
not meant to do
True.
it. If the work environment is not good, if that person doesn't respect you, it all boils down to respect, I believe, right? If respect is
Correct.
not there, nothing to work. Also, another situation was when I was working for another consulting firm. There was a client, and in this consulting firm, they say that client is king, and everything you do for the client. This client at 2 o'clock in the night wanted goat's milk.
Oh my God.
My job was to go get a goat's milk for the client. Next day, the client wanted to go shopping. So I'm taking the client shopping to one of the upmarket places in Bangalore, because you want the client's business, right? So you'll do
Yeah.
anything and everything. So somewhere I feel we lose the self-respect when you do all these things. And I
Correct.
had a lot of self-respect as it, this is not what I'm meant to do. I'm not here to take people out shopping.
Yeah, that's true. And at
Get
that
them
moment, you don't know how to react because
absolutely,
we also are learning, and we were young
absolutely.
at that point of time, and we didn't know how to handle the situation. But now when we look back, that we as employees, we've also made so many mistakes, and even our
Oh
boss
yeah,
and managers also have
yeah,
made.
yeah,
So anyways, it's
absolutely.
all a learning experience. And
And you meet all kinds of people. No? You meet like all the bosses I'm talking about. They're all in touch with me now. They all come back to me and say, "Shekhar, we are so proud of you. We're seeing you
yeah,
on TV. The kind of work you do." So I have no ill feelings towards anybody, because
correct.
life is too short. You cannot have any ill feelings towards anyone. And I believe that you're meant to do something in life, right? So you keep moving on. People learn from the mistakes. But I think
Yes.
everything has been in learning, because I've met some real shady bosses. I've met some real shady people in my life, and I've been very careful not to associate myself with them. I don't suck up to I never sucked up to my bosses. As in, I was a teetotaler. I don't drink, I don't smoke. So there was always a joke, any company I worked with, oh, Shekhar doesn't smoke or drink. Uh, how does he get to know his bosses well? They don't understand that more than getting to know your bosses, you should know your employees well. That's very important. So I was always focusing on the team I worked with, which you know very well because you were in my team, for example. And it's very important to know what makes your team tick, what inspires them, what demotivates them. Well, for example, I know practically everybody's birthday, and I know for a fact what's running in their lives because ultimately we're working with human beings. We're not working with machines. If
True.
the entire issue of leadership is all about how well do you know your employees,
Yes.
there's no rocket science to it. But is everybody making an effort? I don't know
Correct.
because because
So
people are living in some.
So
Yeah.
apart from this, any more situations in your field currently, like maybe the entertainment?
Oh, entertainment, yeah. So there are quite a few in this also. Where
Okay.
for example, you're on a radio show, you go off air, you go on air, and you talk various things, and suddenly you get to know it's being recorded. But in my case, the way I'm talking to you right now is how I talk off air also. So
Okay.
you will not find any difference in it. As in, there are a lot of people who put on an act when they're off air, on air, and you feel this looks so different. But I think you get to realize that. If we're talking about sticky situations, ultimately it all boils down to presence of mind about how you manage it.
Yeah, how you
Like,
manage it.
ask somebody a question and you realize that that person may not have an answer to it. And you quickly cover up for that question with another question. So you don't give that person time to think. And that
Correct.
differs from situation to situation. And
Yes.
in my family, they say that Shekhar is very good at, changing topics very quickly. And because he has an answer for every topic, you really don't know where the conversation is going, but it's interesting to hear it. So my mother-in-law still thinks I'm an LIC officer. She doesn't know that I'm an entertainer because she thinks I don't know. That's the image they have, but that's
Okay.
that's not on a serious note, but on a funny note. But yeah, if you're talking about sticky situations, when you're on TV or when you're interviewing somebody and you get to know that they're getting a call, and you want them to focus on your interview per se. How do you get them
Okay.
to do it? You play a prank on them, or you talk about things which they connect with. So various things like that. So it differs from person
Okay.
to person actually.
Uh,
So I'll give you an example here. I'll give
mhm.
you a real wild example which happened very recently. I did a book launch for Mandira Bedi. So Mandira Bedi was so before she comes on, I was engaging with all the people who had come in there for the book launch. And so what I usually make people do is in every show of mine, practically in any live show, I make them do a plank. Because
Okay.
I
I've
like doing
seen that.
plank.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I made, so I called a guy out and said, let's do a plank. And I made him do a plank. But Mandira Bedi heard this. And as soon as she came, she said, Shekhar, let's do a plank together. So I'm doing a plank with her and also announcing her arrival on the stage. So that's a situation which could have been sticky. I could have said, no, I don't want to do the plank because I already done a plank with the guy. But I went with the flow and showed that let's do a plank together. So I was up for the challenge.
Okay.
That changed her entire perception about me in a matter of 1 minute. She's like, this guy is sporting. Like this guy is game for anything I tell him to do. So let's have fun during the interview. So that breaks the ice a lot, that trust factors build. And yeah, that's a sticky situation which I changed with my presence of mind, I would say. But
Okay.
I think it all boils down to how you look at things. Yeah.
Great. You've co-authored a book called Dare to Dream, Shekhar. And can
Yeah.
you tell us about the book and why do you think people should grab a copy of it?
So I think in today's day and age, I think Dare to Dream is all about dreaming with your eyes wide open, because right now we are in a situation where everything is so fluid. The days of internet, information is flowing so fast, and I think dreaming is very important. But making sure your dreams turn into reality is also important. I think that's what Dare to Dream is all about, because Dare to Dream talks about my journey from being what I was in the corporate circle to do what I'm doing as an entertainer, actor, motivational speaker, comedian, author, columnist. Like if I look back at it, and I was just, sometimes I just Googled myself yesterday to see, okay, what comes up. Sometimes you do that just to see ki kya aa raha hai, what comes up on internet. So, I was looking at the articles I had not written, but sometimes newspapers call me and ask my point of view on various things. And it has covered the entire arc. There is stuff on sports, there's stuff on politics, there is stuff on leadership, elections. entertainment, you name it, gender issues, food, travel. Like I've covered the entire gamut
Yeah, a
because I have an
lot of
yeah,
topics I've read a few yesterday. I came across
yeah.
some of your topics, very nicely written.
And I realized that it all boils down to to daring to dream. Because when I say dare to dream, it talks about my journey from being what I was in the corporate circle. In the corporate circle, you're still doing things in a silo. I'm not saying that people who are working there are bad or good, because everybody has a dream. Some people would love to work a 9 to 5 routine. That's what floats their boat per se. But in my case, I felt I was meant for something bigger in my life, and I took the plunge. I think dare to dream is about taking that plunge when all the odds are against you and believing in yourself. And
Okay.
it's very important for everybody out there, for people who are listening in. There are people out there who will demotivate you. There are people out there who will say that you're not good enough. Don't believe them. Don't believe them at all, because they are doing this because they cannot do it. So that's human mindset. If you cannot do something, you will tell others, no, you cannot do it. That's how
Okay.
humans work. That's what an average human does. The champions don't do that. The champions influence and take people along with them. If you notice,
Correct.
that's the mindset of a champion. So that's what Dare to Dream is all about. It's about the mindset of a champion. It's about how you can dream with your eyes wide open. It's about taking that plunge when nobody believes in you, but you believe in yourself. I
Okay.
think those moments is what Dare to Dream is all about. So it's a book which everybody should take. But I'm also writing a second book right now, which is also something around a ghost story and about
Okay.
life post pandemic. So
It's a
it's
ghost
going to
story.
be, yeah, there's a ghost story also which I'm writing,
Okay.
because I really like the supernatural world.
Okay.
I feel there's a world out there which exists, which is watching all of us and actually having a laugh at us, saying that, oh my God, are you scared of COVID-19 or are you scared of ghost? You take a pick. That's that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting topics. So, Shekhar, what are the personal lessons that you've learned from the pandemic personally?
So
Your
personal
personal
lessons I learned from the
takeaways?
pandemic. Yeah. So I think my number one takeaway is the fact that this pandemic has taught us that it can hit anyone, irrespective of sex, irrespective of human race, irrespective of how much money you have in your bank or you don't have in your bank, irrespective of how high flying you are. You could be traveling economic class or business class in the plane. You could be sitting. You could be sitting in Kashmir. You could be sitting in Kerala. You could be sitting in Mizoram. You could be sitting in Delhi. It can hit you hard because it does not look at who you are, what you are, and where are you placed. It just attacks you as a person. So it's given a great life lesson to everybody, I think. The second thing is, it has taught me a very important skill called gratitude. I think we all need to have gratitude for the fact that we are alive and we are talking to each other. We are fortunate. There are a lot of other people who have lost jobs, a lot of other people who have lost their families. The frontline workers, all respect to them. I'm talking about the doctors, the nurses, the policemen, the people in the army, navy, air force. I think what they're doing is splendid to just keep carrying on like this in spite of all the problems around them. I think they're made of a different metal. I feel our frontline workers. I think these are the real superhumans in flesh and blood. And also, I think one important lesson the pandemic has taught everybody is that citizens, if they get together, can actually conquer the world, can conquer anything around them. It is not our elected representatives who are doing that. So this is the moment when you realize uh, who's a boy, who's a man, or who's a lady, who's a woman. Basically, it shows what human beings are made of. This, because during the toughest times is what it takes to succeed. And I think I hope this pandemic does not, it's caused a lot of problems already. And I also feel there's a silver lining in this cloud. And if everybody gets vaccinated and everybody masked up, then we should be fine. But
Yes.
there's damage which has been done. We have to learn from this damage. And human beings should also understand that we have to coexist with nature. We
Correct.
cannot believe that we are an exotic species. Nothing can happen to us.
Yeah.
Nature has been there before us. Nature will be there after us. We are just one civilization. So I
True.
think, I think before the pandemic happened, a lot of people who I meet, because in my line of work, I get to meet a lot of interesting people, right? Some
Yes.
of them think they catch whiskers. They think that, oh my God, I have arrived types. I'm the coolest person on earth. Doesn't
Okay.
make any difference, because if you don't have humility, if you don't have character, you will not survive in this world, I believe. Sooner or later, you will be found out. And I think that character and that humility is very important when you work also, when you're trying to do something very different as a leader, or when you're trying to move from a comfort of a well-paying job to something which you like and love. Your character is what takes you places. Your character has to be your core. And I think that's the most important lesson I learned during this pandemic, that, it's made the boundaries smaller. Everybody's got affected by it. So everybody has suddenly become a little more open. They become more trustworthy. They look at life in a different manner altogether, which was not the
Right.
case earlier. That's the silver lining of the pandemic.
So
Yeah, but
boundaries
the
are
damage has.
broken, and
Oh yes, I think the
boundaries are
boundaries are
broken.
blurred.
People have
The
become more
boundaries are,
humble. Some of
yeah,
them.
some
So
of them.
yeah.
Yeah.
And how have you managed to continue work amidst the challenges of the pandemic? Because your work requires meeting a lot of people and interacting and traveling. So how do you manage to continue work?
See, one way to conquer this pandemic is to keep yourself busy. When I'm saying keep yourself busy, is you have to constantly pause, reinvent yourself. And somewhere, like I said, there's a silver lining in every moment. You got to look back at see at your skill sets and see what are the various things I could do to improve myself. What are the various things? Because in my line of work, networking is very important. And I'm saying networking, this is also very important for all the viewers and listeners who are listening in. Take my word on this. Something which is going to be important in the next few days, next few months is not going to be oil. It's not going to be petrol. It's going to be the data on your phone, because we are all influencers in our own right, right? So the data on your phone is going to be the most important currency. It's going to be selling like hotcakes, which is actually happening right now as we talk. If you look at how the world economics is working, the geopolitical world, how's work getting done? How are people getting oxygen beds? It's through data. It's through your connect. So if you're connected well, if your networking skills are good, you will always survive. That is one. The second thing is, uh, technology can be really useful if you know how to use it. And I'm saying you don't need to be a punter in technology, but you should know if you have, if you have a, if you're creative in the way you look at life, in the way you look at a solution for a problem, you will survive anywhere. If you notice this situation we have right now, the pandemic is almost like the World War. So when World War One, World War Two happened around the world, there were a lot of industries which came up after that. Like Germany became a superpower after the World War, right? Or England became another industry altogether, or America became a superpower because there was an opportunity there after the World War, because industries came up, people looked at problems. So I think the message out there is very clear. If you have a product which can have an impact on millions of people, and the advantage of that is because we are staying in a place like India, which is so densely populated. The advantage is if you have a product which impacts millions of people, you're always going to be in business. The disadvantage is because we are densely populated, there are problems also galore. But that's the way I look at it, because I think you got to be creative. You got to create products which leave a lasting impact, and you got to just keep constantly reinventing yourself, because technology is moving at such a fast pace. But one constant here is always going to be the connects you have, the people you talk to, people you speak to, the people you collaborate with, and make sure you collaborate with like-minded people. There's a lot of negativity around us. You should be able to gauge who's positive, who's negative, and collaborate with positivity. You cannot control negativity because you cannot change people's thoughts and opinions. It cannot happen over a single meeting, right? So you don't need to bother about that, but focus on what you can control or what you can change, because
Okay.
I think life is better like that.
Okay, great.
Because if we try to change people's thoughts and opinions, it'll take a long time, and we don't have time for that,
True.
right? I think what
True.
we need to focus on is keeping ourselves busy. When you are busy, you will not be negative.
Yes.
When you're
Okay.
constantly working on something, your mind is occupied. When your mind is occupied, you won't be thinking of negativity around you. You won't be thinking of, oh my God, so many deaths happening around me. You can also look at the number of recoveries. I
Yes.
constantly keep telling this. I was telling this to a particular TV channel. I said, why not focus on the recoveries instead of the death? They actually took my feedback and made that green column for recoveries.
Okay.
Then I liked it. I said, wow, this is good. They're actually listening to what I say. Then I'd given them another opinion. I said, why not get two interesting leaders who appeal to the demography of India and tell them to tell the entire India that mask up and vaccinate. So, for example, somebody like a Rajnikant or somebody like a Sachin Tendulkar. So, Rajnikant is immensely popular all across India, right? And Sachin Tendulkar also, to a certain extent. Why not get them do a public address, on your TV screens and tell them that please mask up, please vaccinate. More often than not, people will listen to them. We
Their
can do
words
that.
will
So,
have impact.
I don't think there's a problem in India. The problem is not the people. India, the problem is discipline. India is not a disciplined country.
True.
That's the only difference between India and other countries.
Yeah.
And if India is disciplined, we can go places. We have done that earlier in the past. It's just that this time, I think deaths have happened in front of you.
Yes.
Last year, the wave happened also, people died, but here your family is getting affected. And when families get affected, it's very different. You're seeing death. I know of people who've lost everybody in the family. And what do you do about it? You're helpless. Our healthcare system has gone totally down. And let's not even talk about the politicians. Like they themselves are searching for their own soul. But here, that's where people like you and me collaborate and try to make something positive about it, because that's the entire focus of this discussion. How do we stay positive? The only way we can stay positive is to believe in ourselves internally. Keep your circle strong, your friends, your families, the people around you, and also keep yourself busy. If you're writing, keep writing. If you're listening to music, keep listening to music. Try to create something out of the situation, because I don't think the situation is going to last forever. I believe if you visualize, we will get out of this sooner or later. It will take a month's time, I believe.
Hopefully. And you've achieved a lot of fame and success over the years. And did your impetus growth affect your relationships with friends and family in any way, be it positive or negative?
So my family is totally surprised. I was always known as a shy boy in my family. They're totally blown. But I also in my friends circle, there are a lot of people who felt that I took a wrong decision by moving out from where I was working to what I'm doing right now. But then, when you succeed, there's nothing sweeter than success, like they say, right?
Yeah.
The same people will come back and say, Shekhar, what, you took the right decision. I take back my words. And that doesn't really affect me, because people have an opinion, let them have an opinion. At the end of the day, I should be happy doing what I like. I don't care about what others think. And I'm very strong mentally, because I'm very clear about what my goal is, how I want to achieve it. And for me, it's very important in the realm of communication. I can achieve whatever I want to. That confidence I have. And so, obviously, you've got friends, you've got family. There are obviously some people in the family who would be negative, but you would take it positively and say, I'll prove you wrong with my actions. So the same people are now sending your own videos to their own friends and saying, Shekhar's my best friend and all. And that person is also my best friend for starters, but that's how it is. So, there are no ill feelings. So you just go with the flow and you like, okay, fine. It's nice to hear it. You listen to them and you just chuckle with a laugh. Like, oh my God.
Was it easy? Was it easy or difficult dealing with negativity?
No, I think we are brought up in an environment where we can see. You have to understand that criticism is going to be there everywhere, and Indians have an opinion on everything, anything and everything. There is no dearth of armchair critics around us, right? They don't. Problem is because we don't put ourselves in the situation which others are in.
Correct.
That is a first step towards being kind, and I feel we as a race are not very kind. And I'm saying being kind is being kind with your time, being kind not just with money, being kind with understanding what situation the other person is going through. Nobody tends to think of it from that perspective. It's all about I, me, myself. I think we as a race have become very selfish. So that's where gratitude comes in. And I don't know, somewhere I think the need of the hour is emotional intelligence. And I think, I realized it. And I can gauge that. Emotional intelligence, you need to understand emotions in others. Only then can you help them. People don't have time for that. And that's why they tend to get negative. They start blaming the situation. They start blaming the people rather than themselves. So I think we need to look internally and try to work on ourselves more than anything else. But no ill feelings. As in, that's how people are. You can't change them, but you can keep focusing and doing your. My entire objective is being the best version of myself every single day. That's all.
That's great.
I'm making my dog laugh. I'm within statement. Yeah.
That's nice.
That's all I want.
Your words of advice to people who want to switch from their current field of work to the entertainment field or media, just like you did. So can you share your nuggets of wisdom?
Yeah, one is think big. You're not there for the short run, you're there for a marathon. It's not a 100-meter sprint, it's a marathon. There are good days and there are bad days. Sometimes your good days can be better than your bad days can be worse than your good days. So one very important skill required is resilience and persistence. The second thing you need is you need to also connect with people, follow up with people, and be very regular about it. When I'm saying connect with people, follow up with people, understand what makes people tick, understand what makes your stakeholders tick. If you're not interested in them, you will not succeed. And I think the most important skill in entertainment is being an active listener. It's not about you just keeping singing and entertaining people. You have to understand their pauses also. You have to understand the silences also. So being an active listener is important, because once you understand what that person is thinking or what that person is talking, you can react to it. You can respond to it. So I think one thing is persistence is important. There's no substitute for hard work. But more than anything else is how well do you connect with your stakeholders? How well do you understand the market around you and create a product which works for the market? And essentially, I've done a lot of work, not just in India, but I've done work across the world. So when I did that too, a lot of people made fun initially. That somebody people did not even know what an entertainer is. Somebody from my family made fun, saying that, "Oh, you must be the guy who sits behind the guy on the bike while doing a video." I said, "That's a videographer. There's a difference." So these are people who are working in banks. Okay,
Yeah.
they've so that's the mentality. You can't change it, but you can change it with your ideas, with your thoughts, and with your opinion. Because I believe the work which I do is influencing millions of people around me. That's what I believe, because I know people are watching it or people are influenced by it. So that's my perspective. So one more important message for everybody who wants to take this industry is you have to be positive, because positivity is more infectious than negativity.
Yes, true.
And you got to believe that you don't win the silver, you lose the gold. That basically means you have to be ambitious, you have to be passionate, you have to be resilient, you have to be in it for the long run. You because one swallow doesn't make a summer, like they say, right? So I think there's much more to life than this. But you, if you really like and love it, you will give it your best.
Okay.
Because I know a lot of people who, like me, who decided to move jobs. They thought, "Oh my God, I'm doing a 9 to 5 job. It's not interesting enough. Let me do what Shekhar is doing." After 10 days, they left and came back to the job. They said, "Yeah, how do you manage this now?" Because it's not an easy job to be in. It is something
It
which is
is
all
not
about.
easy. It looks, but there's a lot of hard work
It's
that
not easy.
goes. Yeah.
There's a lot of there's a lot of hard work in everything you do. You
Yeah.
ask anyone, there's hard work. But are you enjoying it? That's important. For me, this has never been a job. It's just being a vocation for me. I just love just doing what I do. If I'm writing, I write very well. If I'm, even coming on TV, I just love that moment of coming on TV. If I'm also say entertaining or engaging, for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, I can do that for a full day. I can keep talking for a full day because I love doing it. And I know that my listeners will listen in because I'm being positive. When you're positive, you'll always have more people listening into you than negativity. Negativity is there very commonplace, right?
Yeah.
Positivity is very different. How well do you
Correct.
look at a situation and say, "Oh, you know what, we'll conquer this together"? That's what people want. People want positivity.
Yeah.
Contrary to what people think, negativity is not infectious. It's positivity which is infectious. So be positive, be resilient, be passionate, and believe that this is not a 100 meters race. It is a marathon. And a marathon, the person comes first. The person who comes first is the person who's resilient, is the person who's in it for the long run, not for a short burst of energy.
Oh, great. It was wonderful speaking to you, Shekhar. Thank you for
It's almost like
sharing
a
your
marathon.
wonderful. Sorry.
It was
Sorry.
almost like a marathon session.
And thanks for sharing the interesting experiences, your nuggets of wisdom, and we are expecting a lot more work from you, exciting work in the coming years. And I hope the audience have found this interview engaging and useful. All the best, Shekhar, for your future
Thank you,
endeavors.
Dan. Thank you, Diana. You made me really open up and speak, and I think credit goes to you. I'll always remember the word epiphany, which you used right at the beginning of the first question. But
Thank you.
power to all the. I think we all have a very important role to play as writers because we reflect the society.
True.
Writers reflect what society is going through in more ways than one. So you have a very important role to play, not just as an influencer, but as somebody who reflects what is going on with the society. So more power to you too.
Thank you so much, Shekhar. Wonderful talking to you, and take care. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.